Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to What's Cooking in Bert's Kitchen. It's been a long time since I've done an episode, so today we're going to get back to what I do best, which is making desserts. Today's dessert is something called a Caflouti. You've probably never heard of it before, but it's very similar to a cobbler. However, it doesn't involve any butter. And today's episode, I'm going to use a rice flour blend that I make myself. That way, it's completely gluten-free. Real simple. Heat your oven to 350. Now, while that's heating, we're going to start working on the other components. Now, the Caflouti I'm making today is going to be strawberry and blueberry, since I have a bit of those left over in my fridge. And the first thing we're going to need to do is chop up those strawberries. So let's take care of that. So here we have some strawberries. They've kind of come to the end of their usefulness in the fridge. Before they go bad, we want to get them cut up. So it's very simple. We're just going to cut them into bite-sized pieces. I'll cut a big one like that in half, and then each half I'll slice into 4 quarters. Really quite simple. But you need to get rid of that leaf along the top. Nobody's going to want that. Now notice, as I've always told you, when you're cutting, keep your hands curled. That way you can't cut your fingertip off, because there's nothing for it to cut. And there we have our chopped up strawberries. We get rid of our garbage. Got to add in what little blueberries I have left. I did see a stem go in there, so we're going to get rid of that. And there we have the main flavor component to our dish. Okay, so fruit's cut up here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start mixing up. You're going to need a good sized bowl. We're going to start mixing up the batter portion of this dessert. It's going to require 3 eggs and a cup of sugar to start with. So we get our eggs in there, get out a good fork, a whisk if you want. Let's get those whipped up pretty good. Now we're going to pour in 1 cup of sugar, which I already had pre-measured. If you want to, write it down. It's 1 cup. And get them whipped into a nice, thick custard. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to add is 1 cup of milk. Again, use 2%, skim if you want. As you can tell by my girlish figure here, I don't worry about the fat content, so, you know, I go with whole milk. But either way, there's so much flavor in here, you won't notice that if you use skim. Get it all whipped in there nice. And trust me, you'll be able to tell when the sugar is completely dissolved. So there we have that. To make it a batter, I have 3/4 cup of rice flour mixture that I make myself. It's 4 parts rice flour, 1 part cornstarch. It allows it to act a lot like all-purpose flour when you mix it that way, but it's completely gluten-free because it's not made from wheat or rye or barley. So I buy my rice flour at the Asian markets. It's less expensive that way. It comes in 4-pound bags. I buy a 1-pound container of cornstarch. Just mix the two together in a storage container and keep it to the side for any gluten-free recipes I want to do. So let's get that in. Now you'll notice we're not using any leavening like baking soda or baking powder or yeast or any of those things that would make stuff rise, but trust me, this will be a nice fluffy and well risen dessert. It's almost like a souffle. Okay, so we've got our batter mixed here, and it seems pretty liquid, but trust me, this is going to solidify when we bake. Now here are my serving containers. You could, if you wanted to, put this in a larger baking dish, a 9x9, spread it out into a 9x13 if you want to, it would be a lot thinner. But in this case, I'm going to use individual serving containers, and I've got 5 of them here. What you want to do, get a good sized spoon, put some of your blueberry and strawberry mixture on the bottom. Cover the bottom. Divide it evenly, however much you've got. Okay, so we've got everything evenly distributed here amongst our 5 containers. Don't be shy with the fruit. If it doesn't look like enough for you, add more to it. This batter will stand up to a lot of fruit. In this case, I'm just using up what I had, so I've got a fairly good portion right here on the bottom. Now we're going to do the same thing with our liquid batter. We're going to divide it evenly amongst our containers. Now when you're ladling things out, you'll notice I kind of scrape it along the edge. That's any, liquid that's on the bottom. It'll scrape it off back into the bowl, and therefore you won't have it dripping all over your countertops. I know it sounds like a very simple thing, but until somebody tells you, It may be one of those things you just didn't think about. So I still got a little bit left in here. And there we have it, 5 even containers of our Caflouti mix. And you see how the fruit is just rising straight through it. So what we want to do, we don't need a water bath for this. We just want to place them on this. Makes it easier to transfer them all at one shot into the oven. Which our oven has now reached 350 degrees. We're in there. We're going to set our timer for 45 minutes and let it go. Okay, so it's been almost 45 minutes now. Timer's going to go off in a second here. Let's grab a hot pad, and as soon as that thing beeps at me, right about now, turn off our timer. Let's open our oven. And you can see these have risen, gotten kind of doughy. Want to put a knife in the middle, it comes out nice and clean. We know they're done. Make sure you turn off your oven. It's something I'm always forgetting to do, and my wife will come through and goes, "What do you got in the oven?" I haven't had anything in the oven in 3 days. Well, it's on. Okay. My fault. So, to keep you from getting yelled at the way I do, turn off your oven, please. So here we have our Caflouti. Now what we want to do is we want to just let them cool. Now once they have cooled, perfect way to serve them. We get out a nice little saucer, set them up there, hit it with a little powdered sugar. It's beautiful dessert. Oh, my word. That is a fantastic dessert. Absolutely out of this world. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, and please come back for the next episode. It's cooking in Bert's kitchen.